Kara pulled her old hatchback up the winding gravel road, the tires crunching against the loose stones as the Oregon coast came into view. It was early fall, and the air carried that sharp, salty bite she always associated with change. At 20, she was in her second year at art school in Seattle, sketching dreams of galleries and freedom. But life had thrown her a curveball with a messy breakup just weeks ago. Her ex had called her too distant, whatever that meant. Now she needed space, literal and figurative, so when her Aunt Vivian asked her to pet sit at the remote cottage for a weekend, while Vivian escaped on a solo yoga retreat in the mountains, Kara jumped at it. "It'll be good for your inspiration," Vivian had said over the phone, her voice warm but laced with that familiar hint of mystery. Kara figured the quiet would help her fill her sketchbook with crashing waves and twisted driftwood. The cottage sat perched on a jagged cliff overlooking a stretch of rugged beach, the kind where the Pacific Ocean met the land in a perpetual battle. Weathered gray shingles covered the exterior, and a wraparound porch groaned under the weight of potted ferns swaying in the breeze. Inside, it smelled of old books and faint lavender, Vivian's signature scent. The place was cozy but eccentric, filled with antique furniture, a velvet armchair by the stone fireplace, shelves crammed with dusty tomes on local history, and a large glass sunroom that jutted out like a ship's prow, offering panoramic views of the sea. Kara dropped her bag in the entryway and called out for the cats. Whisk, the mischievous tabby with stripes like tiger markings, slunk out from under the couch, meowing demandingly. Shadow, the shy black cat with piercing green eyes, peered from behind a curtain, hesitant as always. She spent the first hour settling in. Feeding the cats was a ritual. Whisk batted at the kibble bowl, while Shadow nibbled delicately. Kara unpacked her art supplies on the kitchen table, a scarred oak surface overlooking the foggy beach below. The fog was rolling in thick that afternoon, turning the world into a muted watercolor painting. She texted Liam, her friend from college, who'd been hovering on the edge of something more since they met in a figure drawing class. He was 21, with tousled brown hair and a laugh that made her forget her troubles. "House is all mine this weekend. Creepy but cool. Come keep me company?" His reply came fast. "On my way, bringing pizza and bad horror movies." By dusk, Liam arrived, his Jeep kicking up dust as he parked. He bounded up the steps with a pizza box and a backpack, grinning. "This place is straight out of a ghost story. Your aunt lives here alone?" Kara laughed and pulled him inside. "Yeah, she's always been a bit of a hermit. Writes freelance articles on weird coastal legends. Says it keeps her sharp." They ate in the sunroom, the glass walls amplifying the sound of waves crashing far below. Liam teased her about her sketches, flipping through her book with genuine interest. "These are amazing. You capture the mood so well, like that one of the abandoned lighthouse." Kara felt a warmth spread through her, different from the chill outside. As the sun dipped, painting the fog in oranges and pinks, she suggested a walk on the beach. "I need seashells for a collage, and it's not every day we get this view." They bundled up against the cooling air and descended the steep path to the shore. The beach was a wild tangle of rocks and kelp, the fog weaving between boulders like living smoke. Liam skipped stones into the surf, his laughter echoing. "Remember that time in class when you drew me as a mermaid? Total revenge material." Kara rolled her eyes, picking up a smooth abalone shell. "You wish. But seriously, this place feels alive. Aunt Vivian always talks about spirits in the mist, probably just to scare me as a kid." They wandered farther, the cottage a distant silhouette on the cliff. The conversation flowed easily, touching on dreams and fears. Liam admitted he was thinking of switching majors to photography, inspired by her passion. Kara shared how the breakup had left her questioning trust. As twilight deepened, the fog thickened and they turned back. The path wound up, slick with moisture. Halfway there, Kara glanced at the cottage, its windows glowing faintly from the lamps she'd left on. Then she froze. In the upstairs window, the guest room she hadn't even entered yet, a light flickered erratically, like a candle being carried by an unsteady hand. it paced back and forth, casting long shadows on the curtains. But the house was empty. No one else had a key. Liam noticed her stiffness. "What's wrong?" She pointed, whispering, "Look, up there. Someone's moving inside."
Kara's heart hammered as they scrambled up the remaining path, the fog clinging to their clothes like cold fingers. Liam grabbed her hand, his grip firm. Probably just the cats knocking something over, or a timer on the lights, but his voice lacked conviction. They reached the porch, and Kara fumbled with the key, the metal cold against her palm. Inside, the warmth hit them like a wall, but it did little to dispel the chill in her spine. The entryway looked unchanged, coats on hooks, boots by the door. Whisk greeted them with a rub against her leg, but Shadow was nowhere in sight. They moved cautiously into the kitchen. Everything seemed normal at first. The pizza box still on the counter, half-eaten slices congealing. But then Kara noticed the book on the table, one of Vivian's old volumes on shipwrecks along the coast, flipped open to a page about an infamous wreck from the 1920s where survivors spoke of ghostly figures luring boats to rocks. "I didn't leave this here," she murmured. Liam scanned the room, his eyes narrowing. Next, in the dining area, a chair was pulled out slightly, as if someone had sat there briefly, contemplating the view. And near the back door, a faint, muddy smudge marred the floorboards. Not from their shoes. Theirs were dry. "Let's check upstairs," Liam suggested, grabbing a heavy flashlight from the utility drawer. Kara nodded, her mind racing. She remembered Vivian's vague warnings before leaving. "The coast has its old ghosts, dear. Just lock up tight." At the time, it sounded like eccentric ant talk, but now they ascended the creaky stairs, each step amplifying their breathing. The guest room door was ajar, though Kara's sure she'd closed it. Inside, the bed was untouched, but a drawer in the nightstand hung open. Rifling through, she found an old envelope, yellowed with age, addressed to Vivian from someone initialed R. The letter inside was cryptic. "You think the past stays buried? Tides bring everything back." Her hands trembled as she showed Liam. "Who's R?" he asked, his protective instinct kicking in. He positioned himself between her and the door. Kara shrugged. "No idea. Aunt Vivian was a journalist back in the day, exposed some local scam involving fishermen faking catches for subsidies or something. Made enemies, I guess." They searched the other rooms, Vivian's bedroom with its quilted bed and sea glass collection, the bathroom with foggy mirrors. No one. But then, a soft thump echoed from above. The attic? Liam shone the light up the pull-down ladder. "Cats?" Kara whispered. Whisk was downstairs, but Shadow could be sneaky. Outside, the wind picked up, heralding an approaching storm. Thunder rumbled distantly, and Kara's phone buzzed. Spotty service, but a text from a neighbor? No, it was the weather alert. Heavy rains incoming, possible flooding on roads. "Great," Liam muttered, trapped in a haunted house. They returned to the sunroom, brewing tea to steady nerves. The hot mugs warmed their hands as they sat close, the glass walls now a barrier against the darkening world. Liam shared a story from his childhood about a creepy cabin his family rented, lightening the mood. Kara leaned into him, feeling a spark amid the fear. "Thanks for coming. I couldn't do this alone." As midnight approached, they barricaded in the living room, couches pushed against doors. Sleep evaded them, the storm's first drops pattering on the roof. Then, Kara jolted awake from a doze. scratching sounds from overhead like nails on wood. Not the cats, they were curled nearby. She nudged Liam. "Attic, something's up there." He nodded grimly, and they approached the ladder. Pulling it down, a draft whispered down, carrying dust and secrets. The door at the top creaked open just a sliver, as if inviting them in. The attic stairs groaned under their weight as Kara and Liam ascended, the flashlight beam cutting through cobwebs like a knife. The space was a time capsule. Stacked boxes labeled in Vivian's neat script, old trunks coated in dust, and a single bulb swaying from a cord. Kara pulled the chain, flooding the room with dim yellow light. "What was that scratching?" Liam whispered, scanning for movement. A shadow darted out from behind a crate, hissing before bolting downstairs. "Just the cat," Kara sighed, relief mixing with lingering unease. But as they poked around, curiosity took hold. One box caught her eye, marked Archives. Inside were newspaper clippings, yellowed and brittle. Headlines screamed, "Journalist uncovers fraud in coastal fishing empire," and "Locals outraged as scheme exposed." Vivian's byline was prominent, detailing how a group of fishermen had inflated catches with illegal imports, defrauding government grants. Photos showed angry men at docks, one in particular, a burly figure with a scarred face glaring at the camera. "This must have been huge," Liam said, reading over her shoulder. "Your aunt took down some powerful folks." Kara nodded, a knot forming in her stomach. Flashbacks hit her. Childhood summers here, Vivian spinning tales by the fire, but always deflecting questions about her work. "Family secrets stay in the fog," she'd say with a wink. Their phones buzzed, service flickering back. An unknown number called. Kara answered hesitantly. "This is Harlan down at the harbor. Vivian asked me to check on the place if storms hit. You folks all right up there?" The voice was gruff, like gravel under boots. Kara glanced at Liam. "We're fine, thanks. Any issues in town?" Harlan chuckled oddly. "Just the usual beach wanderers after storms. Scavengers picking through wreckage. Stay off the shore at night." He hung up abruptly, leaving Kara unsettled. "Who's Harlan?" Liam asked. "Some local fisherman, I think. Aunt mentions him sometimes." The cat's behavior worsened. Whisk paced restlessly, while Shadow hissed at empty corners, fur bristling. "They're sensing something," Kara said. Liam suggested leaving, but the storm raged now, rain lashing the windows like accusations. Roads would be impassable. Instead, they fortified, checked locks, found a window latch in the sunroom bent, as if pried. "Not the wind," Liam muttered. To distract, Kara shared more about Vivian, how her exposés strained family ties, her parents distancing themselves. "She taught me to question everything," Kara admitted. Liam squeezed her hand. "That's why you're strong." As night deepened, they huddled in the sunroom, the storm a symphony of chaos. Lightning flashed, illuminating the beach. Then, in a bolt's glare, a silhouette appeared outside, tall, hooded, pressing a hand to the glass before the darkness swallowed it whole.
Panic surged through Kara as the silhouette vanished into the storm. "Did you see that?" she gasped. Liam was already on his feet, grabbing a fireplace poker from the hearth. "Stay here," he ordered, but she shook her head, snatching a heavy brass lamp as a makeshift weapon. They burst onto the porch, rain pelting like needles. The wind howled, whipping fog and spray. "Hello? Who's out there?" Liam shouted, his voice lost in the gale. They circled the cottage, flashlights piercing the murk. Near the cliff edge, fresh boot prints led down to a hidden cove, a narrow path Kara had forgotten about from childhood explorations. Descending carefully, slick rocks threatening their footing, they reached the cove. Waves thundered into the inlet, foaming white. There, by a cluster of boulders, stood Harlan, his oilskin coat dripping. "What the hell?" Liam demanded, poker raised. Harlan turned, unfazed. "Told you on the phone. Checking the property. Vivian's orders." But his eyes darted, and Kara noticed a satchel slung over his shoulder, bulging oddly. "In this weather? At night?" she pressed. Harlan smirked. "Coast life ain't for the faint, but if you're seeing shadows, might be more than wind. Your aunt stirred old pots. Folks like Ronan don't forget." The name from the letter. "Who?" Kara asked. Harlan hesitated. Ex-partner in that fraud? Lost his boat, family, swore vengeance. Beach wanderers? Could be him. Back inside, dripping and chilled, they locked up tighter. But disturbances mounted. Keys to the shed gone from the hook. Vivian's heirloom pearl necklace missing from her dresser. Photos on the mantel were turned face down, as if hiding from view. "This isn't random," Kara said, voice shaking. Liam pulled her close. "We'll get through it." In the vulnerability, he confessed his own secret, a bout with anxiety after his parents' divorce, how it made him overprotective. "I don't want to lose anyone else." Kara kissed his cheek, the moment electric amid fear. Rummaging for clues, she found another letter in Vivian's desk. R ranting about ruined lives, promising the tide will turn. Voices murmured downstairs, then a low, one-sided mumble like a phone call in the kitchen. They crept down, but the room was empty. On the counter, a note in scrawled handwriting. "Secrets wash ashore eventually." The note trembled in Kara's hand, ink smudged by rain perhaps. "What does it mean?" Liam asked, his face pale in the flashlight's glow. They puzzled over it, the storm rattling windows. Aunt Vivian's journal maybe answers there. Kara recalled a hidden spot under the floorboards in the sunroom from hide-and-seek games as a kid. Prying up a loose plank, they found a leather-bound book, pages filled with Vivian's elegant script. Entries detailed regrets. The exposé was right, but the cost. Ronan lost everything. I should have been kinder. Service sputtered. Kara emailed Vivian hastily. "Intruder? Letters from R?" A reply pinged back. "Ronan Hale. Bitter man. Stay safe. Police if needed." But the power cut out then, plunging them into darkness. Flashlights cast long shadows, turning familiar rooms eerie. The cats led them hissing to a wall panel in the hallway, loose. Behind it, a crawl space. Empty, but with fresh scuff marks and a candy wrapper, recent. Kara's mind whirled. Her own hidden pains, like burying the breakup hurt, mirrored Vivian's secrecy. Liam's presence grounded her, their hands entwining. But doubt flickered. Was Harlan involved? More thefts, food from the pantry, arranged in a spiral on the floor, mocking. Police line rang busy. Storm delays. Footsteps echoed then, approaching the panel. A hand thrust through, grasping at air. The hand withdrew as Kara screamed, slamming the panel shut. Liam barricaded it with a chair. "Out the back," he urged, but the door jammed. Pounding came from within the walls. Ronan? They fled to the sunroom, hearts pounding. A figure emerged from the shadows, gaunt, scarred, the man from the photo. Ronan, Kara breathed. He raised hands placatingly. Not here to hurt, just closure. His voice cracked, eyes haunted. Vivian ruined me, but I read her journal, stole it first, then returned. She regrets? Struggle ensued. Liam lunged with the poker, but Ronan dodged, pleading. Kara, wits sharp, quoted the journal. You deserved better. It stalled him. Then Harlan burst in, wild-eyed. Ronan, we had a deal! Accomplice revealed, shared grudges. Chaos on the cliff, wind whipping, Ronan and Harlan grappling. Ronan slipped away into fog after whispering, "Tell Vivian, forgiven." Evidence left, documents proving Vivian's partial fabrication for drama. Kara and Liam escaped as storm cleared, police arriving late. Kat's safe, but experience scarred. Driving away, Kara spotted a figure on the beach, watching. Back in Seattle, Kara unpacked, the coastal fog a memory. She met Vivian at a cafe, confronting truths. I exaggerated the fraud for the story, Vivian admitted. Ronan suffered most. Healing began. Family bonds mended. Kara and Liam dated now, cautious but hopeful. Harlan arrested for trespassing. Ronan vanished. Yet in her pocket, a seashell etched with R whispered unresolved threats.